Okay, guys, for today's traveling with attitude, I am going to bring you, I don't know, we'll see if we're going into the Women's National Historic Park, but the Wesleyan Chapel is open. But I bring you the declarations of sentiments, and why would I be dressed all gussied up for the Declaration of Sentiments? Whoa. Because fashion, my friends, fashion was a huge part of what helped the women's movement. Does nobody know this? Along with all these things, the water is not running. When the water is not running on us women's rights? All right, well, back onto the fashion, because, why would you come to a women's rights with your Versace's on and rather fashionista? Because, haven't you watched Iron Angels, people? They used fashion to get the message across. That they put on this woman, Alice Paul, wore this huge angel wings with the thing, with this halo and the wings and the silk, and she rode a horse down Pennsylvania Avenue to draw attention to some people want equal rights. Now, I love the Declaration of Sentiments, and it could be applied to anything, but I'll have to read through it because I'm going to have to read this to you guys carefully. You can't. I'm going to read you here it is. Here is the Declaration of Sentiments, and I'll add the fashion piece in later, but you might have to have your Coco Chanel. Just Coco Chanel, again, another very strong woman, wanted her own fashion house. So fashion is actually a certain power to it. Don't tell that to my mother. Oh, God, no. My mother would never be able to be in a women's empowerment movement. I had to put on my mother's makeup at 16. If you have to do your mother's makeup because she doesn't know what looks good on her, freaky. Okay, back to the Declaration of Sentiments. Something my mother would never claim to have. She wouldn't want equal rights because she likes being subservient. Me, I like being independent. So this is a meaningful thing. When, in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one portion of the family of man to assume among the people of the earth a position different from that which they have hitherto occupied, but one to which the law of nature and nature's God entitled them a decent respect. A decent respect. That actually, well, I wouldn't say alien, I mean, maybe aliens, it's like from other planets. Other than aliens, any human being, that's really what they want, isn't it? Decency, respect, and the opinions of mankind. That should be declared the causes that impel them to such a course. When you have to go a little bit haywire, watch Iron Angels, ladies. Watch it, because when a woman knows her mind, I'll tell you what, that's when they brand you crazy. They often confuse courage in a woman with insanity. Don't get me confused. I'm not insane. I'm just strong. Okay. We hold these truths to be self-evident. Don't tell that to certain people. That all men and women are created equal. That they are endowed by their creator. You mean we all have a creator? That we were all equal? Hey, that's pretty cool. I believe that, but I guess some people, we know this, have utilized religions to divide people. Anyway, we have inalienable rights. So this is actually, I believe, this was written by Elizabeth Cady Stanton, spoken by Susan B. Anthony. So for every couple, like a writer and a speaker, there's got to be a good writer behind the better speaker. So I think Susan B. Anthony was a good speaker, but I think Elizabeth Cady was a damn good writer. Because this is pretty good. Let's see. With certain inalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Isn't that really what we all want? No, Versace's will not make you happy. But sometimes they might make you feel better when you're sad. Just kidding. Okay. So, to secure these rights, governments are instituted, deriving their powers from the consent of the governed. That's getting, times are coming back around. Isn't it funny? This thing is written more than 100 years ago, and look how relevant it still is. Whenever any form of government becomes destructive to these ends, we are in a change, folks. I tell you, I've been through many a time, but this is a strange time. It is the right of those who suffer from it to refuse to, it says allegiance to it. So, yeah, that's, we're getting close to, January 6th, right? So I would say, I don't know, I don't have an opinion on that, because I don't believe, I've read the 14th Amendment, and I don't believe that was actually an insurrection, according to the amendment. It was a bizarre thing, but is it technically an insurrection? I don't know, because apparently those people believe they were aligning with it, but they were under a false belief. But I will hold that to anyone else's opinion. I'm just saying strictly as a constitutional, I'm not a lawyer, but I listen to constitutional lawyers about the 14th Amendment. Also, to me, I really understand the 13th Amendment, which makes a woman feel like a prisoner. Okay, because this is where I feel like if I had an amendment right by, it'd be my 13th. I can't really consider myself at the 14th yet. I'm still on that. My grandma said 13 was lucky, not for slaves. Okay, let's see. So they insist upon the institution of a new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers. It shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Prudence, indeed, will dictate that governments long established should not be changed. Okay, that's good. For light and transient causes, and accordingly experience hath shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer while evils are sufferable than the right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. You see, that's the thing, people. When certain power people get accustomed to abusing certain powers, they don't want to give that up. And that happened right here in Seneca Falls. We're a lot pissed off with it. It's a long winter here. Okay. This is a pretty amazing thing, because our government did stay together. There was no insurrection called this. We just ratified the 19th Amendment. That's how you handle these things. Okay. But when a long train of abuses, insurrection, pursuing barely the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their duty to throw off such government and provide new guards for their future security. I have no new guards to throw off. I am not wearing a bear hat and crapping on Nancy Pelosi's desk. I thought that was a really bad idea, but somewhere in New York, people think this is such a good idea. There is an entire park to it. So, I don't know. When you're considering everything, take this into your perspective, yeah? Let's see. So it's their duty to throw such government and to provide new guards for the future's security. Such has been the patient sufferance of women under this government. I've run out of patience on a lot of issues myself. It has nothing to do with governments. Well, I suppose if your father was giving a lot of... Samuel Falk was a Republican. Yay. Yes. Do not tell anyone. But when Billy Willis is like donating to the Democratic Party, probably bad karma, right? No, we're not supposed to be talking about religion and politics. I'm neither of those things. So I'm independent. So I think I can try and weigh it out on the Libra. Is there a little weighing song? Weighing it out on my Libran scales. But let's see. Such has been the patient sufferance of women under the government, and such is now the necessity which constrains them to demand equal station in which they are entitled. I think I'm about to enter that twilight zone myself, downstate. But yeah, whichever court. I want my equal rights, my chairs, but things that courts ruled on. But as far as the twilight zone, Seneca Falls also, Rod Serling had a home, like right over there. Yeah, right by the Board of Declaration of Sentiments. This is a very flavorful town. If you've never been to Seneca Falls, just reading this is a reason to come. So we want the equal station. The history of mankind is a history of repeated injuries and usurpations on the part of man toward woman. You can interchange that with anybody. It's just power against empower, I would say. It doesn't have to be men and women. It's those with the more power position abusing those with the lesser. So, but for purposes of this, the 19th Amendment, it was very much about the women. Having a direct established absolute tyranny over here. This I do understand. I understand tyranny over women because I've had tyrants around me for far too long. You need to put those glasses on. There's so much shit coming at me. I've had a lot of that. He has perpetuated her to exercise her inalienable right to the elective franchise. He has compelled her to submit to laws in formation of which she has no voice. Well, it's funny. Laws gave me a voice, and then men with power stole my voice. That ain't okay. He has withered from her rights, which are given to the most ignorant and degraded men, both natives and foreigners. We're not putting down the Native Americans, are we? They're sovereign, so I don't know. Maybe Elizabeth Cady Stanton missed the thing. Natives are sovereign, so there's like, I don't know. Didn't we cover this in another video? There's like 572 acknowledged separate not sovereign nations within America. I know. It's a very confusing country. But at this point, I'm imagining the writer of this, who was Elizabeth Cady Stanton, and I believe she had... Susan B. Anthony could speak because she didn't have any children. It makes you a good speaker. You don't have any children at home. So Elizabeth Cady Stanton had, I don't know, like more than 5 children. So she took to the writing. I relate. I took to writing, and I have 2 kids. So I getcha. Let's see, he's made her morally irresponsible as she can commit many crimes with impunity, provided they be done in the presence of her husband. This is a lunatic, this thing. In the covenant of marriage, she is compelled to promise obedience to her husband, he becoming all intents and purposes her master, the law giving him power to deprive her of her liberty and to administer chastisement. Well, we've actually passed that, right? And get like divorced in California, right? Or do you just want to dig that one up too along with you can't seem to enforce federal orders? But we do actually have this thing where actually my marriage, I absolutely refuse to obey. That was removed from my vows. I don't obey nothing, but I answer to I answer upstairs. You know, that's who I obey. Okay? Well, so I don't think people should have power over people in such a way. He has so framed the laws of divorce. Oh my God. You want to know where we're getting into the divorce? This is hysterical. As to what shall be the proper cause of divorce in case of separation. Did I not have like a bifurcated marriage in California that led to the hell I'm in New York? Oh yes. To whom the guardianship of the children shall be given. Well, if you have Bill Willis taking the guardianship of Zoe Fox for money, in my case, I guess I had many masters I don't like to obey. Yeah. As to wholly regardless of the happiness of the woman, the law, in all cases, going upon the false supposition of supremacy of man and giving all powers into his hands. You know, that's the other thing. I have a hard time with the feminazi lawyer thing too, but sometimes you almost need that, but I'm not that type of person, so yeah, but it is like, you can understand like the women they get put upon, like, well, I've been put upon in a different way, but I see it this way. After depriving her of all her rights as a married woman, if single, the owner of her property, he has taxed her to support a government which recognizes her only when her property can be made profitable to it. That's like a trust, isn't it? Ugh. He has monopolized nearly all the profitable employment and thrown those she is permitted to follow. She receives but a scanty remuneration. This is not like, isn't this like a trust kind of too? Creepy trust, like where you want to get out of them, but they're in the world of private wealth, so you need to acknowledge they exist. Yeah, but such is the world. Yeah, and such was the world 100, when was it, 1919 that this passed? It took a lot of years, but this it's been going on for a minute. Ladies, men, people don't like being abused, I think is the basic thing, but Elizabeth Cady Stanton had a very good way of putting it. Closes against her all avenues of wealth and distinction, which he considers most honorable to himself. This sounds familiar. As a teacher of theology, medicine, or law, she is not known. Oh, you don't want me with a law degree. That would be dangerous. God. He has denied her the facilities of obtaining a thorough education. I thoroughly enjoyed my education and contributed to the Chico State being the #1 party school in America. And didn't reestablish. I dropped out of college to attain sobriety. But I also attained something else. I got a travel degree. Yes, I did graduate travel school in 1989, even though I dropped out of Chico State. I already kind of knew I didn't need a marketing and religion studies. I studied my father. He's like a cult leader. He allows her in church as well as state, but a subordinate position. Now, going back to history, this thing got written, I believe, after it was during the abolition movement for slavery, and I think it was Elizabeth Cady Stanton and Susan B. Anthony were not allowed on the floor in England. And anyone who's dealt with England, that pissed me off too. I'd come back to America and write this, claiming apostolic authority for her exclusion from the ministry, and with some exceptions from any public participation in the affairs of the church. You know, affairs, church, aren't those like two words you don't want to hear together? He has created a false public sentiment by giving to the world a different code of morals for men and women. I would say this works so many ways. This is a very timeless piece. So you can substitute men, women, powerless, empowered, whatever. It's where there's an imbalance of power, by which moral delinquencies which exclude women from society are not only tolerated, but deemed of a little account in man. Oh. I know that there's a man I don't like. He begins with pearl and ends with man. Yeah, Pearl Man. Ugh. He has usurped the pejorative of Jehovah himself. Well, I guess we won't mention the religion of John Oliver Pearlman. I don't think he acknowledges Jehovah. He's not a witness, but I'm not claiming that. You can just look on the Georgia site. He actually was kicked out of, after 2 years, the Jewish family services. That's how good John R. Pearlman is of a Jew. They don't even want him in family services in Georgia. What's a bad Jew? That's a bad Jew, says the not a good Catholic and a great agnostic. Ha! There we go. Oh, so he is endowed in every way that he could to destroy her confidence in her own powers. Like this, I have experienced actually in this town by a number of men, none of them from this town, which is interesting, and to make her willing to lead a dependent and abject life. Yes, they don't want you fashionable and happy. No, that's not their fashion. Now, in view of this entire disenfranchisement of one half of the people of this country, I don't know if that was actually half back then or not, but we'll just figure that Elizabeth Cady Stanton did her math. Their social and religious degradation in view of the unjust laws and above mentioned, and because women do feel themselves aggravated and oppressed, this woman does, and fraudulently deprived of their most sacred rights. I feel deprived of my most sacred right, my motherhood. That, to me, is my most sacred right. When you deprive a mother of her children, watch out. Huh. We install that they have immediate admission to all rights and privileges which belong to them as citizens of the United States. Well, but I'm going to assert this myself. I'm going to reassert this. I believe this. In entering upon the great work before us, we anticipate no small amount of misconception. Well, you know, it's what, 13, 14 years, no, 100, yeah, what's 100-year anniversary? I was here during the 100 years, so it's like 104 years. Everything gets misinterpreted. A lot of things get mistranslated. Read the Bible. It goes from, it was written in Aramaic, translated to Hebrew, translated to Aramaic, Hebrew, Greek, Latin, English. That's 5 translations. You can lose a lot. Just look at this. You can lose something in just this, and this is all in English. But let's see. But we shall use every instrument within our power to effect our object. We shall employ agents, circulate tracts, petition the state and national legislatures, and have I not done this? I have petitioned every person I possibly know to get this done. My personal situation, having to do with just a stupid trust that was from a marriage where I did translate and put everything into community property with my ex-husband, Michael Falk. But the people that got it wrong wanted to keep it all. Bad idea. Okay, and so, but back 104 or 5 years ago, when they were fighting this, and man, they were force feeding them, they were tying them up. These are some strong ass women that fought this, but for us to have a right to own property and make votes, because people always go, oh, it's a right to vote. No, it's the right to hold title of property. That is one of the most powerful things, owning your own property. I know this because I've been deprived of that, so I know about it. Deprivation. Okay, but the women back in the day, they wanted these equal rights. So we shall employ agents, circulate tracts, petition the states, legislature, endeavor to enlist the pulpit, the press. That's why they put on their beautiful outfits. You see? That's why they were fashionista right in front of Pennsylvania Avenue, which is Washington, D.C., to get a little attention that something was a little off. We hope this convention will be followed by a series of conventions embracing every part of the country, firmly relying upon the final triumph of the right and the true. We do this day affix our signature to this declaration now. And this is something that almost brings tears to my eyes because this is a really cool tie over this town has to some civil rights stuff too. So here are the original badasses who had the guts to put their name on this, because this is dangerous when these women did this. Lucretia Mott, Harriet Hayden Eden, Margaret Pryor, Elizabeth Cady Stanton. You go, girl. She's the scribe underneath there. Eunice Newton Foote, Margaret School. Now you notice it's all women. Where are the dudes that backed up the chicks? Let's see. We're going women. Lucy Jones, Sarah. So we got, like, look at these badass women, right? Oh my gosh. Lydia Gill, Hoffman, Tewksbury, Palmer. Some women that really stuck it out there. We still have not seen a man yet, no, have we? They seem absent when they have to sign something that says, like, oh, you want an equal? We're going down the list. P.A. Culver, Sarah Smith, Caroline Barker, and Porter. We are like, we're getting down this list. It's no men yet. Okay, let's see. Here we go. By the way, so 1848. How cool is that? The following are the names of the gentlemen. Oh, let's see these badass men. Okay, because he had some women, but I almost give more to the dudes that would stand behind a woman badass and do this. So, to all you guys, mad respect that are on this list, and I'll tell you one of them. He's I hope he better be on here, because this one really touches my heart. So Richard Hunt said, yep. Samuel Tillman said, yep. And I believe a lot of these people were Quakers, which is pretty cool because they're not known for, like, sparking it up like that, but they did. So John Jones, whoever you are, right on. William S. Dell, James Moore. And the one, where is, I'm hoping Frederick Douglass is on here. Because that was, maybe his name, is he on this? Charles Hoskin, Thomas Clinton, Swan, Woodward, Underhill, Pryor. There's a lot of Pryors on here. I hope they're not working for Pryor Cashman. Just kidding. Inside New York Tech. Henry Haley as, okay, is he on here? Okay, no. He's not on here, but here's the important thing about Frederick Douglass. He gave Elizabeth Cady Stanton. He was the only man, and he was a black freed slave. He was the only man who would entertain this idea. I'm getting chills just thinking of that now. I mean, that was someone who'd already been oppressed himself, standing with the women who were being oppressed, saying, yes, I will have tea with you. I'll hear you out. I mean, and is that not what we really want, frankly? Isn't that kind of what we want on any idea set? If anything, you want someone to hear you out. Hey, this is what I think. Well, this is what I think. You know, that there should be a back and forth. And if there isn't that thing, then there is this other thing, and it's called tyranny. I think we got into that somewhere in here. Tyrants are people that they look good. Saddam Hussein's a tyrant. There's been a lot of them. Hitler was a tyrant. But what they do is they curry favor. They get a lot of propaganda. They become like a man of the people. But they have their own little sick, creepy designs. So there is a lot of tyranny. There's also a lot of goodness in this world. And so, yeah, I love this part of this town because it boldly puts this right out here. And, you know, in times where things are so darn divisive about rights and this and that, this could be taken the wrong way. But this town, it doesn't have, this is like a reproduction of the Wesleyan Chapel where they held the convention, so it's not really the thing. But I went in here during there were still masks, and there was a lot of bars and a lot of, like, not bars like drinking bars, but bars like the prison bars where they put these women who, like, spoke up. With, you know, that's another way they control women. They don't like it. Stick them in a jail cell for a while. They'll shut them up. Some of us women, you know, You just can't shut us up. We don't have an off switch. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. That's all right. So, anyway, I think this was I don't know. It's just a hot take on a hot day in New York. Oh yeah, okay, there. Because look, there he is. There's Fred. I knew Frederick Douglass is in this crowd somewhere. I God, who's that badass native? Please tell me who she is. And then you got the Quakers. And you can see there's Susan B. Anthony. She's a little ticked. Some of these women are like looking like, you know what? I have done one too many loads of hand turning the laundry, and no more. But yeah, that's it. So this little town, right in the middle of this little town, is this very cool National Historical Park, and it is well worth a visit. It's a good touchstone. It's really, to me, it speaks to any acts of oppression, and it opens the debate up for what's going on in our country now and what will continue to go on in this country. This is a country of democracy, so it's in flux. You get used to that, right? It's like walking in heels. Something else that my mother couldn't do. She never could really master heels fashion. You know, she didn't have much of that sense. She had to try and get that from her daughter too, along with stealing her money and besmirching her husband's religion. Yes, my mother is an anti-Semite. I will not go there. I'm not into that. It ain't about that. Anything can be divisive when money is a religion. But here, St. Paul's, I think the religion is, you know, you're free. This is the place. So, yeah. Anyway, this is, for me, this was, I came down here before I bought the house, when I moved here, when I lived here for a minute. I read the Declaration of Sentiments, and I was sentimental. I loved it. So, anyway, for anyone who tunes into this channel, you know it's been complicated. It's complicated when they take the thing you love. In my case, my family, my father, my ex, whatever, they will take, if you love your children, they're your children. If you love your job and you're running a successful Airbnb in Seneca Falls, they'll smash that too. You know, they hurt the things that you love. You're having fun? Oh my God, that's not allowed. We don't have fun. Ew. You're dressing fashionable? No. We can't have that. Excuse me? We can have whatever we want. Just don't go overboard with it. Okay, so wherever you are, whatever you're doing, go find a touchdown, go out, mess it up. Mess with the powers that be. Yeah, that's what I say. Mess with those powers that be. Because those powers that be, they be a little too comfortable in their ivory towers, just resting on their laurels. That's it's a Roman thing, right? Because they wore these victory wreaths and they would put them down. That's where that term comes from, resting on your laurels. It wasn't a good thing for the Romans. That was the last empire that got overthrown, so don't rest on your laurels. And also, have your tattoo.